Hey boyos. Uh, this video is going to be in regards to my relationship and dating experience, and also to offer advice to anyone that may feel lost in dating, and hopefully give them some direction on what to do to improve themselves and their success with women. Now, I'm going to start off by saying I have been in relations with several women, and I also did casually date several women as well. Nothing crazy. I was with four women in serious relationships, and as far as casual dating, I think I only dated three casually. I did have chances with many more than that, but I'm generally a low test individual, so I'm not really driven by the desire to have sex, the same as some people may be who are more high test individuals. Now we'll dive right in, and I did rehearse this video a little bit, just certain points, just because my looks maxing video I tended to go off on rambles about things that were related, but not quite on point. So I did rehearse a little bit. Now, I want to state something. Women will generally categorize men as being creepy or good looking or cute. Now, I want to say that all the women I was with and dated, I always brought up the topic of what was it about me that made you want me? And they all had a unanimous reason. They all said the same thing. They said because you were good looking. Now, in my more attractive days when I was supposedly a high tier normie or real life Chad, um, that is when I was with women and dated. Now, I've been out of the dating scene for almost 15 years, and I don't have any new experience for, you know, whatever generation this is, right? So I've been out of dating since almost 2010, right? Um, but like I said, all the women I was with, had sex with, and casually dated, they all said the same thing, and that was I was good looking. They didn't give other reasons. They didn't say, "Oh, because you were really intelligent," or you had a good sense of humor, you made me laugh. There was nothing like that, right? Now I will say, I only dated younger women and teenage girls, so that might have some relevance, right? An older woman who's 40, 50 years old, um, she may be looking for other things like intelligence or a good sense of humor, right? Or adventurous, whatever, or somebody who's really financially stable in life. Um, but the oldest woman I dated, or no, not dated, the oldest woman that I actually had a relationship with was like 24 when we broke up. Now, I did date a woman who was early 30s. She was a bit older than me when I dated her. I was like 28, 29, and she was like 32. And but she still said the same thing too, that I was good looking, right? So now one may, as a coping mechanism, be pleased to think, well, maybe she's just saying good looking because women are very simple minded and she'll encompass all your positive qualities and label you as good looking. If she thinks you're attractive and also funny and intelligent, she'll just say you're good looking. Now, as a way to cope, most people would be pleased to believe that, right? Most men. But I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that at all because a woman, especially a younger woman, she can literally know nothing about you, not even have a conversation with you, and she will whisper to her friend, "He's creepy," just by laying eyes on you, right? And obviously, if she's never had a conversation with you, knows nothing about you, and only is going by what she sees and says he's creepy, well, then what does that tell you? Basically, I stand firm by the belief that Chad can do whatever Chad wants, and any negatives about a Chad will be seen as a positive. And this also holds true for friendships I had, where once I became very overweight and much worse looking, I literally went from a 6 to a 3. And men, my male friends, they started judging me. They started becoming jealous. And I don't mean jealous as in they wanted what I have or something like that. They became jealous as in um, it made them insecure about themselves because they were in competition with me. Because they're also on a similar level as me, right? And people become jealous for different reasons. But I lost many friends in recent years since I became very overweight and unattractive. And what my supposed friends would do is they would start picking out flaws about me, not related to appearance. Things like how I don't have a life, I don't do anything, I don't have a job, things like that, right? Now, when I was much better looking and not overweight, those topics never came up, not even once. Probably because they fear some kind of retaliation from an observer, where if they start picking me apart, the observer may simply state, "Well, John's better looking than you," and that would put them in their place, and they would just stop talking, right? Um, I stand firm by the belief that Chad, if you are Chad, you could do whatever you want, right? A negative will be seen as positive, and you can literally, um, you don't even have to speak. You can be a social autist, right? And if you're Chad, you can simply approach a woman you don't even know and just start making out with her, right? You don't even have to speak to her. You don't have to break the ice. You don't have to make jokes. You don't have to have casual conversation or flirty conversation. You can literally approach a woman you do not even know and just start making out with her. And if you ask her the reason eventually why she'd want you, she would tell you because she thought you were good looking, right? So I stand firm by the belief that Chad can do whatever he wants because I was once a high tier normie, also known as real life Chad, and I am now a sub 5 male. And the difference is quite apparent, although most of the time it's quite subtle. People will still treat me like a human being. They will still treat me with like, like I'm a person. But people generally, I don't know, it's not glaringly obvious, but people disrespect me a little more now that I'm much worse looking. Um, it may be all in my head, but that's just what I've observed from becoming really overweight and unattractive. Now, I have not attempted to pursue any women since I've become really overweight and unattractive. So I don't know what my success would be like. I make assumptions where, women will still show interest in me. Um, but as others have pointed out, she may be just looking for validation from the opposite sex and not actually be interested in you. And that could hold true, right? Um, but I feel quite confident I could still get a woman who's on a similar level to me, although that's not what I want. But my experience, this is more so about my experience with dating relationships. And like I said, most of what I've learned is if you are Chad, you can do whatever you want and get away with it. And I firmly believe that the majority of men can reach high tier normie status or real life Chad status with effort, right? Um, but that's the overwhelming reality that I have to share, and that is if you are Chad, you don't have to do anything else. You've got it. You can literally be a high tier normie, enter a room or a gym or some populated area, and everyone will turn their head and stare at you, right? You will automatically have command of a room if you are the best looking one in the room. And yes, so and other men will typically give place to you if you're better looking than them. And it has nothing to do with social status, wealth, anything like that. If you're better looking than everybody else in the room, everybody else will give place to you, and you will command the room. I am a firm believer in looks are the most important thing, and my experience dictates what I believe, right? Now, appearance is subjective, and I often get told, not recently because I don't have much contact with the outside world, but since I've become really overweight and unattractive, in my opinion, I've still had people tell me that I was a great looking guy, right? A great looking guy. Now you can be a literal 4 out of 10 unattractive, and people will still say you're attractive, right? Because the majority of people my age are really bad looking, really overweight, really ugly, right? So when they see somebody who's slightly better looking than the majority that are really ugly, they will label you as attractive. Now, when you're very obviously attractive, like high tier normie, like I said, um, you've got it all. You've got it all. There isn't a lot to say. Um, a lot of people will cope, or people who are inexperienced will try to make it into reality that other things are so much more important, like being financially stable and wealthy and funny and charismatic and all these things. But if you're a sub 5 male, none of that really matters, right? None of that really matters. If you're a sub 5 male and you're financially well off, you're going to have to escort max. You just have to. And my experience with online forums, that holds true. There are men on these forums who are very well off, making lots of money, and they have to pay for escorts. They have no luck in dating and relationships. And it also holds true with friendships, as I was stating. If you are an unattractive male, you will struggle to gain friends and keep friends. You will lose friends if you gain a substantial amount of weight and become very unattractive when you used to be very attractive. You will lose friends, right? Essentially, um, some may not want to believe it, but male friends that a male has, it generally is a bromance, a male romance, right? And if you're really attractive, one of the qualities your friends will admire in you is your physical attractiveness. And it makes up for a lot. You can be an idiot, you can be stupid, but if you are attractive, you will have friends. Now, obviously, to get the friends, you still have to put yourself out there and make friends. Being attractive then is simply not enough. You still have to put in effort to gain friends, same as gaining a relationship. Um, because if you really are completely socially inept and have no social skills, um, you can be approached by women who want something more from you, and it could be right over your head. That was the case with me when I was really attractive. I would often get approached by women who were interested, and it wasn't until much later when I thought back on it that I realized, hey, she was really interested in me. She wanted me. But I was so socially inept and nearsighted and just dumb and foolish that I didn't realize that that's what they wanted, right? Everyone has the desire and drive to reproduce, right? And women are no different. And women will label you as a creep based on your physical appearance alone. And like I said before, All the women I was with and dated, they all said the same thing about why they were interested in me, and that's because I was good looking. They didn't give any other reason, and they all unanimously said the same phrase: I thought you were good looking. That's it. And there isn't much else to say. That's just my experience. I am a black pillar at heart, and I believe that looks are essentially the most important thing, but they are not the only thing. Okay? Obviously, like I was saying, if you are lacking in like social skills and stuff like that, it doesn't really matter how good looking you are. Opportunities will come and pass you by if you are completely autistic and dumb. Having a healthy amount of intelligence and social awareness and sense of humor is beneficial. But beyond healthy amounts, it's generally not needed if you are a Chad. So I hope that puts things into perspective, and that's just my experience with relationships and dating, and also what I deem as to be the most important thing in finding a partner. So, peace out, and I'll see you guys online.